All right, new time, no job, new channel, talking about new music, your unemployed friend on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. here to discuss music, fashion, film, the 8th studio album by Charli XCX. Here is a quick disclaimer, boom! Now, 8 studio albums may be a weird number in your head because even in the last era, there were 3 perfect brats that kept her fans continuously eating for the entire 2-year era. Fantastic remixes, emotionally resonant features, and Charli is indeed a visionary when it comes to wrapping her audience into a well-crafted story. Including music, visuals, aesthetics, you can see every decision is painstakingly made behind every choice. Which is why music, fashion, and film is so great. It is such a specific artist giving us a specific narrative, and it is obviously a part 1 to probably a larger album cycle of more remixes and more music. However, unlike Brat, it does not really stand as strongly on its own with the first release. Now, it feels like the only way to actually dissect this album would be to take it as far away from Brat as possible and to truly look at it as an individual, something Charli was evidently trying to do in multiple interviews and in multiple quotes to basically separate this from Brat, being like, this is a new era, this is a new opportunity, everything is new. And she did a good job. It's a whole new musical aesthetic, blending 90s rock with some of her classic high-speed editing, a black and white film look, and what I would argue is a purposely subdued fashion look to juxtaposed from the intense fashion of Brat. Charli remains on top of her game in terms of music production and knows how to keep a firm grasp on her audience, who trust her to deliver even if some of the production choices sound sort of weird to the ear on the first listen. Card Declined and Camera are some of the prime songs in the album that many in the fandom have dictated as a fandom cleanse to sort of weed out all the people who came in during Brat so that the OG Charli fans can celebrate. And first, let me say, absolutely not. Charli is not trying to alienate her audience. At the end of the day, this is a music artist who wants this album to do well and she wants to make money. I'm not gonna sit here and act like she was trying to piss off her new fans. I don't think that's the case. I think she wanted to reinvent herself and wanted to maintain the artistry that she felt that she had during Brat without it feeling like it was a carbon copy. Even though the music sounds new and the instrumentals are certainly different, a lot of the beats and a lot of the musicality honestly reminds me of earlier songs that she would release from Sucker or from Number One Angel before she had adopted this sort of hyperpop image that we have come to know her for today. Other than the aesthetic change, a lot of these songs actually play similarly to Brat or past albums and songs that she's released. A lot of the same talk singing that she did on the Brat Remix album or on Vroom Vroom that we've all come to love, except without the auto-tune style that we've come to know her as. It sounds a little bit more organic, even though there's obviously a lot of production involved. She has the same cohesiveness that she had in Brat for an album-long story, except her life has matured and the music has matured with it. And it's fun. I'm having a good time with a lot of this. My only big glaring issue is that it is sort of obviously a part 1 to a longer release of music, remixes, and updated songs. There is a catharsis missing from a lot of the music, from a bridge or from a final act that we would usually get in most songs, that I'm sure was a purposeful choice and that she will probably actually give to us in a part 2 or a remix album or a continuation of some sort, but this on its own feels a bit unfinished. The fact of the matter is that a lot of these songs are just genuinely short, and since she artistically deviates from a lot of the verse chorus song structure that we are used to, a lot of first-time listeners will get through the album or will get through certain songs and be like, oh, that's it, it's over. Once or twice is fine, to have a little interlude or to have just a song that does not need to be that long, but it happens consistently enough through the album that when you do finish it, it does feel like you were expecting a little bit more. I mean, the album itself is only 30 minutes long, and 2 of those minutes are the feature from David Cronenberg just going on and on for 2 minutes about everything dies, no one lasts forever. It can feel slightly underwhelming, especially when that means that we only actually really have 28 minutes of music for an album that we have definitely been waiting for. Also, to me, one of the catchiest earworms on the album is a secret song in Card Decline, which is I Keep Thinking About You, and it is less than a minute long. So right as I get into the party of that song, I feel like I get kicked out of it. I don't have time to sit and enjoy. I'm not sure when exactly, and maybe this video will be dated by the time that I release it, but I'm sure that Charli will drop some sort of part 2 or a remix or a continuation of this that will add or expand upon the already well-woven threads that we have that just felt way too short. I do think it's all part of a larger plan, which I can respect. I like the vision. However, music fashion film does not have that much mileage on its own, because when you finally feel yourself getting invested into the world, it just ends. Now, I'm gonna rate it on a 5-star scale for 3 categories, including banger, for how enjoyable the music sounds. This does not mean that it has to be an upbeat album in any way. Story, how well the lyricism and the musical storytelling comes across, and cohesiveness, how much the album made sense tied all together. Now, this album is filled with some catchy shit, don't get me wrong. I love the sort of banger after banger you get from Wink Wink to Persona to Magic Metal Montana. It is just beautiful. And there aren't any songs that I feel like I really had to defend their existence on this album. Each one of them has their moment, and I feel like I have come to enjoy and appreciate and can listen to separately. Some of them do require a couple listens for you to really get that flavor out of them, and because of that, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Story will be a 3 out of 5 for me, mostly because I don't feel like we have the resolution. I think I'm gonna love the part 2 that this album will give us, but I also don't really wish to reward the DLC style album releases that we're gonna get, where we get a big chunk of it, but then it's like, oh, you have to wait for the rest of it. I would rather have a cohesive story the entire way through, because that's not really the album cycle that I want, nor do I want to have to wait to get catharsis on an album. It should all just be released at once, and remixes should be extra icing on the cake. So 3 out of 5. For cohesiveness, I'll just mention once again how smart I believe Charlie is in terms of marketing and aesthetic. Even moments of pretentiousness can kind of be laughed off with a smirk because of who she is. It does all feel purposeful, and I do appreciate that. And she knows that we're gonna wait for more, and I am gonna wait for more. I'm excited for the part 2. But just because the story is left on what I would consider a unnecessary cliffhanger, I will also give it a 4 out of 5. So merging all those scores together, the final score would technically be a 3.6 out of 5. But once I have that last piece, that part 2, where I feel like I have the complete piece of it, the score will probably rise. I expect whatever she releases next to be at the same quality and to be as fun. She is a great artist. I have a great time listening to her every time. Anyway, thank you for joining me. This is a great break between applying to jobs and writing other things that I care less about. I will continue to do this until I find work, and even if I find work, who fucking knows? Anyway, did you like music fashion film? Are you a Charlie stan? She is definitely the niche interest I had when I was on gay stan Twitter. I am not there anymore because I don't want to be, but she was my girl. I appreciate and respect. And more to come soon, hopefully on Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the other unemployed girlies that have nothing to do. So, goodbye.